Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
Hey everybody, I'm George Luna.
Hey, I'm Brittany Pacheco.
I'm Luke freaking Skywalker in this piece, bro.
And I'm Nathan Hale, and we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Spoiler alert, Frank. You just spoiled everything, man. So, welcome to a special edition of the Watchers in the Basement. This episode was going to be a major episode anyway because we're going to talk about a lot of news that we've missed out on the past few weeks because we've been on hiatus, I guess you could say. There's news, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the world of pop culture. But then today, this little show called The Mandalorian had their season finale. And, The Mandalorian, it's had a pretty good second season. I think better than the first season. It's had some high points. It's had some, episodes like the second one that were pretty boring. But then today happened, the season finale. And this show is now the top topic for the show, for our show, and probably for tons of other podcasts. And again, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the season finale of Mandalorian, please watch that before you listen to this or watch. But I'm just going to say it. Luke Skywalker is back, folks. He is back. My favorite character in all of Star Wars, the hero of the Star Wars movies that mattered, the ones that made all the money, the reason why they can see all this Star Wars stuff. Luke Skywalker's back. And I think it's apropos because a year ago, there was a little movie that came out called The Rise of Skywalker, right? The Rise of Skywalker literally came out, I think it was like this day last year, maybe it was December 19th. That movie killed my love for Star Wars. And literally a year later, to the day, the return of the Skywalker has brought my love for Star Wars back. So how are y'all feeling about this, the major news that Luke returned? I'll kick it to Brittany first. What do you think, Brittany?
I think, Justin, you and I probably watched this episode about the same time because as soon as you got on the chat with everyone to say, oh my God, everyone needs to go watch it now, I'm like, I just finished it. My mind was blown. And in case you all also out there who haven't watched it yet or maybe did but missed out on it, there's an end scene credit that leaves the door open for a new chapter. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in regard to bringing Luke back into the fold, blew my freaking mind because Justin, like you said, you and I had off screen, we talked about this early on about Baby Yoda and the Jedi, and there's only one Jedi left, and then I pointed out, well, there's Ahsoka. Ahsoka is supposed to be in this episode or in the season, and you're like, okay, well, I thought maybe it'd be Luke. It'd be a great way to end the season, go into the holiday season, and you called it. I got to give you props for that because you called it.
I nailed it. I was, and I don't get stuff right. And honestly, it wasn't that I thought it was going to happen. I wanted it to happen. I really to me, it makes the most sense. It's they're looking for a Jedi and it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Well, guess Luke Skywalker is the Jedi. He's the guy that blew up the Death Star, once and, saved tons of millions of people the second time around. And it just made sense that he would be, he would come back. And I got to say that scene, it was very reminiscent to me of Darth Vader in Rogue One. I think the best Darth Vader scene is the one in Rogue One at the end where he's just killing people, just using the Force choke, his lightsaber. And then we saw Luke do the same thing to these robots. These these guys were like Iron Man. There's 25 Iron Man looking robots, Death Trooper droids. And he just smashes all of them. I'm going to watch it. I've watched it 3 times. I'm going to watch it probably 10 more times today. I'm that excited. George, what did you think about it?
So, I've been criticizing this show since it probably started, and I think it's one of the most boring shows that I've watched, but this episode was the best episode of all. Honestly, this episode was better than the last 3 movies, which were terrible, and it was really good, Jay. When you sent in the chat, I was like, I didn't have, my expectations were pretty low, so I didn't expect to be amazed by it, and I really was. When I assumed that it was gonna be what's her name, Britt, the girl, the other Jedi,
Ahsoka.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be her, to come and save the day. And then you see that green lightsaber. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, that's Luke. And
I love that lightsaber. I love that green lightsaber. That reminds me of childhood. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I kind of got excited there. I was like, wow, like this is pretty badass. Like he's just like literally doing work like nothing. Like no one, Mando himself was like struggling with one. This guy just came and killed all of them like nothing.
Yep.
But no, I thought it was great. I do have some questions for y'all, but I'll let like everyone else get their opinions on this episode.
Okay. So Nathan, you're an old school Star Wars fan like myself. What did you think about the return of Luke Skywalker and just the season overall?
So I've unlike some, I've actually enjoyed Mando or the Mandalorian since the onset. I saw it as very much a Lone Wolf and Cub comic reference there. Some of you may know, or Baby Cart from Hell, which is a Japanese Ronin samurai who basically was the Emperor's executioner and then fell out of favor with the Emperor because he was blackmailed and ended up, having, but his entire family except his child, his baby, were slaughtered, and he's basically a Ronin taking on work as he will, kind of traveling around with this baby, which is like straight out of Mandalorian, really. Or Road to Perdition, probably the most well-known equivalent, where a father's trying to protect their sole surviving child. That, of course, being a movie so much shorter getting there. So I understood and appreciated the framework of Mandalorian from the get-go. But season 2, I think, just hands down blew season 1 away. And the final episode was fantastic. The spoiler in the end credits, which we'll get to, I love that because, in my opinion, that's one of fandom's most popular characters, hands down. But for me, my favorite moment in all of the season was the reveal of the mention of the character Grand Admiral Thrawn, which I thought was huge. That, like, just not only see my favorite villain from the Star Wars universe of all time, but they also basically said, in a way, they made at least part of the Timothy Zahn Heir to the Empire trilogy canon now, which Lucas had years back said, no, it's not canon. It doesn't exist in the universe. And Disney said, you know what? Now it does. And you guys remember in Messenger chat, I was so stoked. I still am. I was actually a little sad we didn't get a spoiler at the end of the season about Grand Admiral Thrawn, something a little more, but I'm sure it's coming in season 3 or in any of the potential spinoffs, and I am really looking forward to it. Now, Frank, I know you're not big on like the Star Wars universe, like you haven't really followed a lot of it, but I am curious, like, what was your take as far as this show's concerned with the formula that kind of follows the Road to Perdition or the Lone Wolf and Cub? Again, I don't know if you read that comic, which was based off of Baby Cart from Hell. But yeah, I'm curious. What are your thoughts, Frank?
I didn't see the episode. I haven't watched it since season 1. Last Star Wars anything I watched was Rogue One, which I thought was good. But the way you guys are talking about it, I'm going to watch it tonight and see what the fuss is all about. I'm not as connected to Luke Skywalker as you guys are, because I didn't watch all the movies. But the pacing for me in season 1 was tough for me. With action movies, with action sci-fi films, I expect a lot of action. I don't really expect a great story, but I want to be entertained. Like, if it's John Wick basic level of action, I'm cool with that. Like, John Wick has horrible dialogue, it's very spaced out, but the action is just fast paced and high octane. And I wasn't getting that with Mandalorian season 1. Now, I haven't seen season 2 yet. Do I need to watch the whole season before I get to the finale to understand what's going on? Or I can just watch the finale as a singular episode?
You'll be fine.
honestly, I don't think you'll need to watch the whole season.
I disagree, and to a degree, Frank. I think you need to watch episode 3 because the introduction of Bo-Katan is a little. I think just so that you know this character and her relevance to the whole thing. I think watch episode 3, and then you could probably just go ahead and skip to this last episode.
I mean, there's a lot more action in this season. Like, honestly, the last 3 episodes of the season are all action. They're basically like action scenes from a movie, from like separate movies. Like the end action scene is like the entire episode, because most of the episodes this season were like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. The finale was like 45. But I know George had some questions for us, and before we get to that, Brittany, if you could help me, let's just kind of talk about all the characters that appeared in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Nathan kind of referred to it. There's a lot of lore, like a lot of the Star Wars lore characters, like characters that I'm not even that familiar of, like Ahsoka Tano, who, if you watch the Rebels, and then the other one is
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. She's a big part of that, and basically her storyline is that Anakin Skywalker is her master, and so Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. And so they have this crazy story. And of course, she's like, she's this badass Jedi unto herself. And, we were introduced to her this season in live action form as Rosario Dawson played her in, I believe it was episode 5 of season 2. But Brittany,
I definitely watched that.
yeah, no, she's pretty badass. She has like the double lightsabers, and she has like a whole fighting style. There's a lot of, like, this season was chock full of like cool stuff. I don't know that the episodes were all super entertaining. Like, it's not on the level of like shows that we typically watch, like The Boys. It's nowhere near The Boys level. But if you're a Star Wars fan, they delivered a lot of cool stuff that kind of makes you forget about the recent movies and how kind of dumb they were and how short-sighted they were with everything. Whereas this, they're kind of like fleshing out the entire Star Wars story. So Brittany, besides Ahsoka Tano, who else did we see in season 2? And I mean, also, a certain character got a name.
That's right. So when we're talking about Ahsoka Tano, that was a big deal just because, one, Ahsoka Tano. Now, I have not watched Clone Wars or Rebels. I'm not into it. I think mainly because I don't like episode 2, the Clone Wars. Wasn't my jam.
Right there with you. Yep.
Yeah, couldn't care less. Anyway, but y'all know John, my husband, is a big ass nerd when it comes to Star Wars. My brother is too. Hopefully he's watching this, and hopefully he'll chime in our chat. We do have a chat going on right now, guys. If you want to have your questions be asked to the watchers and just share your thoughts, we love to hear your thoughts. But with Ahsoka, when she meets, we all call Baby Yoda the child, she has a connection with him because obviously he was a Jedi. We learned that Baby Yoda was part of the foundlings that Anakin ultimately killed in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, but somehow Baby Yoda survived. And Ahsoka reveals Baby Yoda's name, which is Grogu. Now, a lot of people have issue with the name. I get it. Star Wars isn't the best when it comes to names. I mean, Star Wars isn't the best when it comes to like dialogue. But I refer to Baby Yoda now as Baby Gugu. Don't come at me. But anyway, we learned that bit of information about, Grogu now. And then, like Nathan said, she is looking for Thrawn. Now, I have questions when it comes to that. Because I know Ahsoka Tano is going to have her own show. I'm curious now, because of that small introduction in this show, The Mandalorian, if we're going to see more develop with, obviously, Ahsoka Tano and Thrawn in her show.
100%. No doubt we will. Like, the season, episode 5 of this season of The Mandalorian, where we meet Ahsoka Tano, that's a backdoor pilot, because there's going to be a Ahsoka Tano series coming on Disney Plus next year. And I mean, I knew that once we saw that episode, I knew she wasn't going to be on The Mandalorian again this season. That was the introduction to her. She's the main star of that episode. She kicks ass. And then it's like, hey, you're going to see more of her down the line.
So
Justin and Brittany. So it has been discussed that Rosario Dawson is going to get her own solo series.
Oh yeah, she's got her. Yeah, it's set. It's coming out like I think next December or it's some point in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
So on the subject of December 2021, Justin, and this is where I tell everyone, if you haven't watched this final episode of season 2 for The Mandalorian, the end credit scene, you need to go back and watch it if you haven't, because this is obviously going to reveal the next chapter, literal next chapter of what is going to happen with The Mandalorian. Because in this season, we saw a man that had a very familiar face from episode 2, The Clone Wars. Ideally, we're talking about Jango Fett. I say this Jango Fett because he is the actor that also comes back as Boba Fett in this season, which was mind-blowing because if you know, all you hardcore Star Wars fans out there know that Boba Fett was devoured by that creature
in the Sarlacc pit.
There you go. Thank you.
He was literally swallowed and digested.
Right.
So
exactly.
Well, can I interject for just a moment?
Go for it, Nathan.
Something I have to say about that. So when I talk about Boba Fett being a fan favorite, he's my personal favorite from Star Wars, and I liked him so much. I wrote a fan fiction many years ago in which the Sarlacc pit, because they did point out you're slowly digested over, thousands of years or whatever.
Fair
I
point.
thought, okay, that's not really a terrible fate if you go in and you immediately die. But what if you literally are slowly digested over the course of, your lifetime by this acidic, not even liquid, but almost like a gas, just the air itself in there. And literally inside the Sarlacc pit were like scrounger civilization trying to survive that are slowly, constantly in a torment of hell and pain. And it was all about Boba Fett finding, befriending this child that helps him get what he needs to repair his jetpack to actually eventually get out of there. So the fact that he got out of the Sarlacc pit, I thought was awesome. I was like, yes, it's almost like my fan fiction became, Star Wars lore, which obviously very few people read that. So no, that's not the case, but.
So in one of the old Star Wars movies, Boba Fett is devoured by this thing, and he's presumed dead. So the show shows that he's alive. He somehow got out of it. Did they explain how he got out of that?
No,
they have not, at least not as of yet.
This is one of the major problems I have with Star Wars. Every character that we see die or we think that's dead, they always come back. Like, that's what I hated about Rise of Skywalker with the Emperor, because we watched the guy die. He died, and his death caused the explosion of the Death Star, or helped accelerate that part. So it's to me, whenever you kill characters, keep them dead. It's okay if you bring them, Superman dies, he comes back, because he's got to come back, right? But you can't bring back literally every character. That's what they did with Boba Fett, which I mean, it's cool to see him back because the armor's cool looking. But there's another character this season. Her name is it Finnick? It's she's from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The actress is Ming Noir or something. Her
Ming
character
Na,
was she was presumed dead in season 1. I mean, honestly, any character you see die in Star Wars ends up coming back. And so to me, I wish they would kind of pump the brakes on that. Let the characters that die, stay dead.
So I do have a theory, literally formed today as I watched the episode. When Giancarlo Esposito's character, Moff Gideon, talks about Grogu, Baby Yoda, and the importance that he has his blood. That's all he needs. So I had a theory long ago that unfortunately the second or third of the movies, not episode 4, 5, 6, but one episode 2 or 3, I don't remember which, but that Yoda was the counterbalancing force for the Force, literally. And when he passed, he was kind of the antithesis to Palpatine, and Palpatine then had to go. What I'm wondering here is, are they using something from Baby Yoda's blood, Grogu's blood, to be what brings back Palpatine?
I think so, and I hate
100%.
And it's also being used to create Snoke, which also is a terrible name, which Star Wars is bad at names. It's like, because they even show in one of the episodes of season 2, you see like the tank or whatever, like they call it the Bacta tank or whatever, and you see like a Snoke like thing being created. So
yeah, I agree. I think 100% that the whole purpose of Baby Yoda, because of the midichlorian count, which they call M count in this episode, which drove me nuts. The fact that no one has been able to surpass Yoda's midichlorian count. So the fact that they can use it, try to manipulate it, and then to bring back Palpatine or Snoke or whatever, phases that they want to call it. I mean, that's the whole purpose, I think, of having Baby Yoda.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
I have a counter argument to that.
Okay.
How dare you?
Yeah, I do. So you say the entire point of Baby Yoda is to bring back Palpatine. I say it's the original George Lucas concept with Star Wars, and that's to sell a lot of toys.
I'm with that.
Also, you're right. You both are equally right. So real quick, before we wrap up Mandalorian, I just want to mention there's a couple more characters we saw this season. We met Cobb Vanth, who was played by Timothy Olyphant. He was in the first episode. He had the Boba Fett's armor on. We met. Well, Bill Burr returned, and Bill Burr was very good in the episode. I really thought his acting was awesome. Like, he had a really kind of heartfelt moment where he, helped Mandalorian get out of a tough situation,
which he created.
George was a fan of Bill Burr being on the show, right? Weren't you, George?
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He did a great job acting on those episodes, and he was definitely fun to watch.
But we had recently met up just to say hi and exchange some gifts or whatever. But George, I can't remember, was it you or was it Justin who mentioned about Bill Burr once having talked a lot of crap about Star Wars, and then he ended up being in a Star Wars story?
Yeah, I was telling Jay, because there was a video clip of him doing a voiceover of one of the scenes from that episode, and he was just shitting all over Star Wars. It was pretty funny. Justin ended up watching it.
Yeah, he really I'll be honest, I'm a fan of his comedy, but I thought he was a really good actor in this season. I don't really remember much of last season. I thought it was fine. It wasn't bad, but I really think he kind of carried that episode. In addition to him, we had I don't know if y'all are familiar with Sasha Banks, the professional wrestler. She's Snoop Dogg's cousin, I believe, or niece or something.
I think niece. I think we talked about this.
Yeah, so she was in in a couple of the episodes, including the finale. She was I guess a Mandalorian also, right? She was a bounty hunter with Bo-Katan.
Yeah, so in this season we learned there's two different type of Mandalorians. There's the Mandalorians from Mandalore, and then there's religious zealots of the Mandalorians, right, to which Pedro Pascal's character more or less follows. Whereas Bo-Katan and that, I don't know if you could say race of Mandalorian is different, but Sasha Banks is part of that. So she's kind of like the sidekick to Bo-Katan, if you will.
And this season, speaking of Pedro Pascal, we saw him without the mask twice. In 2 separate episodes, he took the mask off. The last two, right? The last 2 of the season. So
I'm sure he was so excited about that.
Yeah.
I know he was complaining about it. He finally got to show his face.
I read something recently that he said he really wasn't all that mad about not showing his face. I don't know, but we'll see.
Maybe not, but to me, it was so cool to finally see him because, it's a guy that we're all familiar with from Game of Thrones, and it's whenever you cast these people that you want to see their face. It's kind of like what they did with the movies where they brought oh God, what's her name? Brienne of Tarth. They cast her as one of the stormtroopers, and you never saw her face.
Yeah,
and it's I mean, why bring someone into the show and not show their face at least one? Because that's why people are interested. That's why they're in the shows, because they have this huge following and these other kind of pop culture shows.
I will say, they were using that, pretty much as a vehicle for demonstrating the change of the Mandalorian, moving away from the religious creed to a degree, or faction, by him doing that, by basically that even this thing that for the entirety of existence, more or less, his existence more or less, has been the most important thing to him, it became Grogu, Baby Yoda, is the most important thing to him, and they wanted to demonstrate that by him putting aside his, to a degree, his previous system of beliefs. So well, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, because Bill Burr in the last episode was talking to Mando about, is it really about not taking off your helmet, or is it about not showing your face? Like there is a difference. And so I don't know Bill Burr's comedy. I don't follow comedy like you guys do, but the very fact that these were very poignant type questions and topics, it's like, well, what is the overall importance of being a Mandalorian or following this creed? It was very thought-provoking.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Burr is he has a podcast like everybody else in the world, and he's a funny guy, but he's a pretty thoughtful guy. He knows a lot of stuff, and it's kind of funny because his acting kind of reminded me of his podcast, where he wasn't obviously telling jokes. He was just speaking, from just being a person, and he kind of the same kind of cadence and the way he speaks in his podcast he did as that character in the 7th episode of the season. So let's wrap up the Mandalorian. Let's go to George. George, you had some questions for us about the season, about Luke Skywalker, about Baby Yoda. So fire away.
I have a couple of questions. So one of them is like, so what's going to happen with this show from now on? Because honestly, I thought this show was done. Like after the episode was over, I was like, oh, okay, it could have ended like that. Would have been completely fine. And like him just saying bye to the kid, and then they go, and then the other show starts. And
yeah, Brittany, you want to take that one?
Yeah.
My question is like, what's gonna happen for season 3, and like, are we still gonna see Grogu and Luke Skywalker? Like, because I really don't feel like they're gonna throw in all that CGI to like just check up on him.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that. So to answer that question first off, I think this is just like wrapping up the Mandalorian. I think they're still going to probably continue with the Mandalorian, but they're going to probably break it up into like chapters. And the reason why I say that is because the fact that the end credit scene shows Boba Fett coming back to kill Tweed, yeah, for what happened to him, and sits on the throne, if you will. And now we're going to see the book of Boba Fett. So I want to say that we're still going to continue to see the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, in a way, because of the very fact that Boba Fett does wear the Mandalorian, armor, even though he's not true Mandalorian. But I think this is just in regard to the story of Luke and Grogu. This is the start of when supposedly, Luke starts like a Jedi type school or temple or whatever, and starts training other younglings, because that's the premise of, what's freaking name? Kylo Ren,
right.
Ben Solo. So that's just obviously the start of it. I don't think we're going to delve too much into the story of Luke and Grogu anymore. I think this is just, like I said, that's over, but I think they're still going to continue the Mandalorian, but they're going to just put another spin on it, the book of Boba Fett. That's the new chapter, because if you notice, these episodes were broken up into chapters, not actual episodes.
So it's going to be the Mandalorian, the book of Boba Fett.
Exactly. Like I think Boba Fett will be more of the main character, but I think Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian is going to be continue in this series. I think now it's just going to be more about Boba Fett. And now Boba Fett. Go ahead.
Sorry. And furthermore, I say that we're not done seeing Pedro Pascal because of what we just learned about how one wields the black saber. You have to win it in combat. So Mando won it from Moff Gideon, and therefore he wields the black saber. He can't yield it and give it to Bo-Katan, who is the rightful quote unquote, ruler of Mandalore and should wield the black saber. It would result her battling Mando and probably having to kill him in order to acquire the black saber. So I'm wondering where that is going to be left off to. Is Mando going to assume the mantle of being ruler of Mandalore? Are we going to get answers about that? Because I'm pretty sure we're going to see Moff Gideon in the Cara Dune show. What is it? The Rangers. Go
Rangers.
Star Wars Rangers.
Rangers of the New Republic. That's one of the spinoffs of The Mandalorian that's coming in 2021.
I mean, I'm guessing that she's not going to have to kill Mandalorian because he didn't kill Moff Gideon, which I thought that was very fucking stupid. Like, they literally just left him alive. And also, like, they made it seem like he was terrified of Luke Skywalker, and then they no dialogue between them whatsoever. So
no interaction whatsoever, yeah.
Literally could have killed him. It would have been like he played no part after it. So I'm curious if they're going to let him live or not, or what's going to happen between them.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think we're going to have a continuation of stories when it goes to these other shows.
But that's going to go on at the same time.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see with the Mandalorian comes back December 2021, and it's going to be the Book of Boba Fett, right? And this is kind of a good transition for our next topic. So Disney had this investor call last Thursday, 4-hour call where they announced all kinds of new projects, a ton of Star Wars stuff, a ton of Marvel. We're going to get into that in a second. But with the Star Wars, they announced 2 spinoffs within the Mandalorian universe. One of them, like Brittany said, is the Rangers of the New Republic, which we believe is going to be the Cara Dune, Gina Carano kind of series where she's this like space marshal or whatever, and she's, flying around helping people. And there's also the Ahsoka Tano series, which obviously we're going to see Grand Admiral Thrawn. We're going to see probably, I bet Baby Yoda, Grogu's probably going to show up in that at some point. Maybe Luke Skywalker makes a cameo toward the end of the season or something. But so the Mandalorian world, it's going to be kind of Marvel-fied, where you're going to have all these characters on the same timeline with rotating between these 3 shows in a sense. So to me, that's exciting that it's going to be kind of like Marvel, because that's what everybody should do. Marvel's the best. They know what they're doing.
You're welcome, Justin, because you for the longest did not watch Marvel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's put it this way, George. I would think that Mandalorian is equivalent to the Avengers. You have everyone kind of come together, and then you have the breakout, movies. You have your Iron Man, Black Panther, et cetera, and then like again, they'll come back.
You totally nailed it.
Mandalorian for the final.
That's exactly what it is.
Thank you for explaining that, because yeah. So my last question is, okay, so who did Boba Fett kill at the end when he sat on that throne? Like, was that the guy that killed him?
He was, so the guy he killed, he was Jabba the Hutt's right-hand man in Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And obviously, Jabba, spoiler alert, he dies in Return of the Jedi, or I think he dies. I don't know, maybe he didn't. He goes down with the ship when Luke rescues Han Solo and Leia and Chewbacca and everybody. And so that was like his right-hand man. So he took over as being the leader of Jabba's palace, and he's like, I guess, the new crime boss. Well, what Jabba the Hutt mostly worked with was bounty hunters, and Boba Fett was the ultimate bounty hunter. And so now Boba Fett sits on the throne as he's like the king of all bounty hunters. It was a really, for Star Wars to do an end credit scene, that was very Marvel-like. It was a badass, like, Thanos kind of appearance for the first time, that was really cool. Yeah,
that's why I stand firm in saying we're not done saying Pedro Pascal as being the Mandalorian, because I'm pretty sure as a bounty hunter, now that his quest with Baby Yoda is done, he'll probably form some kind of alliance with Boba Fett and do what he does best.
Yeah, totally.
Nathan, I know you've been trying to jump in and say something. We just keep talking. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I don't even remember what it was. It was a while ago. I will say, to the point of Jabba Hutt, he was also very much equivalent to not just working with bounty hunters, but he had bounty hunters to do his work in a lot of cases, which was more or less a Godfather mafiosa kind of guy. It was a lot of under the table, black market kind of stuff. So we could see a kind of darker, grittier side. So I don't know how much Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal's Mandalorian is going to fall into that, because I think he still, to a degree, has a creed, so it'll matter. But I imagine a lot of it is probably going to be things that end up going against the new empire, or whatever they call them now, in this go-between period. The new empire,
The New Republic.
the mid
Before they become
empire.
the First Order. Yeah, the Empire becomes the First Order at some point in this transition period. So
Oh yeah, that.
okay, so let's transition from Mandalorian to more Star Wars. So as I mentioned a little bit ago, Disney had this big investor call. They unveiled all this new stuff that's coming. And okay, so in addition to the 2 Mandalorian spinoffs, we're also going to get a Star Wars series called Andor, which is about the lead character in Rogue One, Cassian Andor. I'm not super excited about this one. I don't know about y'all,
What?
but I mean, it's,
No shade. No shade. Why do we need a
Well, I mean-
backstory?
we don't. We really don't need this. And honestly, like this is one of those things we talked about earlier with the names. Like, Endor was a big part of Return of the Jedi. It's a place.
Very near and dear to your heart.
It is. It
Justin.
is.
The Ewoks meant everything to you
It's-
as a child.
Yes, they did. And I mean, if Luke could have brought an Ewok, if he had Wicket with him when he came back today, holy hell! Like I wouldn't be on this podcast. I would be like running down the streets, just screaming and waving a lightsaber. I mean, I do that anyway, but no, but like to me, to have a name so simple, you have Endor, then you have a character named Andor. It's like there's lots of letters and lots of words. Like you can't think of something better. But
Justin,
anyway.
for a non-Star Wars fan, who were you talking about? Who is this?
So if you saw Rogue One,
The girl?
no, the
guy.
male, the guy who like his name is Cassian Andor. I mean, the movie is great. The character
He's
is
the Mexican dude, George.
yeah. Diego Luna is the actor.
That's my cousin.
There
Yeah.
you go.
I mean, no disrespect to him. I just don't. I mean, we know like obviously he dies in Rogue One.
Spoiler alert.
What's that?
He was a pilot in that movie or something?
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah. He did fly a ship for a bit.
He's kind of the Han Solo of that.
Was that the movie? Was that the movie where Darth Maul was in?
No, he was
No.
in Solo.
No, that was in Solo.
Ah, damn, that one. Okay, I'd love to see something like that because yeah.
Yeah. So we have that. Here's one I want to kick over to Nathan. So we're going to have an Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's going to feature the return of Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. What do you think about that one, Nathan?
Why Hayden Christensen? Why? Yeah, no.
Also, like
No.
if you've seen A New Hope, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, they haven't seen each other for many years. So now you're going to have this series that apparently is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. But then that means it's only like 10 years before A New Hope. Like, it's, I mean, I love Darth Vader. Do I want to see more Vader lightsaber fights? Yes, I do. But, there's other stories where Darth Vader can be in them and you don't have to pit him against somebody that we know he's going to meet anyway, like,
Yeah. And I mean, so how long was, so if he runs into him and Obi-Wan's been in exile, because at the end of the last movie of episode 3, he's like, I'm going to go into exile. He talks about, I think, going to Tatooine, or there's an allusion to that. And then if 10 years later he's meeting Vader,
right.
and then 10 years after that, he's been this legendary creature on Tatooine, or person, Obi-Wan, old Ben, that Luke grew up around. And Luke's, 17, I think, in A New Hope?
Right.
So that would mean when Luke was around 7, Obi-Wan, did he leave Tatooine for a while? Because clearly if Vader meets him on Tatooine, he should put 2 and 2 together pretty quick.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
The timeline just doesn't work. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work. So George, the next thing that's coming up, this might be up your alley. It's called Star Wars Visions. It's an anthology series of short films, and there's going to be anime. So it's Star Wars created through the lens of the world's best anime creators is what the tagline for it
That
is.
sounds badass. I'd watch that.
Yeah, I'm
Here's
opposite
one that-
on that. I'm not into the whole like anime cartoony. This is why I haven't watched Clone Wars or Rebels. Like I'm not into that.
I'm not really either, but the fact that they're going to be like anthology, like short little like 30, 40 minute, like self-contained episodes or movies, I'm more interested in that than like a full, series or whatever.
It's kind of like that Marvel show.
The What If show,
Yeah. Okay.
which we're going to discuss that here in a second. And don't worry, Frank, I'm coming. When we get to Marvel here in a little bit, I'm coming your way, bud. Like we're going to pass the ball to Frank. We're going to clear out. It's the old like Michael Jordan late 80s offense where like Doug Collins is like, get the ball to Jordan. Everyone else get the fuck out of the way. We're just going to clear out. And but let me wrap up the Star Wars stuff. So one of my favorite characters also as a kid was Lando Calrissian. There's going to be a Lando series. We don't know yet, though. Is it going to be Billy D. Williams, who played Lando back in the 80s, late 70s? Or is it going to be Childish Gambino himself, Donald Glover?
I heard it's going to be him. That's what they had said a while back.
That's what they've said, but they've kind of hedged. Like I've seen both actors, and maybe it's going to be a thing where you're going to see the young Lando and the old Lando. I don't know. Lando was in Rise of Skywalker, unfortunately, and he had a weird kind of storyline where he encountered this female stormtrooper who was also happened to be black, and he kind of insinuated he was her dad or that he was going to hook up with her. It was very strange. It was
it was really creepy.
And it was only like the 50th weirdest thing about that movie. Like, so, I kind of forgot about it. I'm just going to keep going here. There's going to be a Star Wars series called Acolyte, which is going to be a live action series from the High Republic era. So we're talking, this is like the beginning of Star Wars kind of stuff. Like it's set 200 years before the events of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So, I don't know. Do y'all have any thoughts on Acolyte?
None whatsoever. Let's get to Marvel.
There's a couple more Star Wars things. There's going to be a C-3PO and R2-D2 animated show called Droid Story, which I might check that out. I mean, those are two of my favorites as a kid. This is not Star Wars, but I just want to mention they're also going to bring back Willow. Did y'all see Willow?
Yeah, so
I love Willow.
I love Willow. I will say I'm a little nervous about this because I have read half of the trilogy that this is based off of, which was It was a pairing of George Lucas and Chris Claremont, who's one of my favorite comic book writers. But being a good comic book writer, being a good comic book writer does not necessarily mean.
Claremont's my favorite series, Nathan. Just so you know.
Mm-hmm. And I could not get through the second book. Like, I will say this. It's really dark. Like, really dark. Compared to Willow, if you're a fan of the movie and familiar with it, think like, I don't even know. I can't even think of a comparison dark enough. I'm trying to think of something. Like, start with Everybody's Dead. Like, everybody's dead. Start there, except for one person. And then go from there. And that's kind of where it began. It was super dark. And, Mad Mardigan was my favorite character from Willow. Spoiler alert if you haven't read the book. He's dead in the beginning. The Queen, his wife, is dead. I mean, literally everybody's dead. I think even Willow's entire family's dead. It's just Willow. And I was like, what? So it's dark. And it's kind of weird. I couldn't finish it, so I don't know how it wrapped up, but apparently they're basing it off that. So just kind of a heads up.
Are they bringing back Warwick Davis?
Yeah, he's back in it. Yeah.
That guy is legend. Okay. I mean, he has literally been in any and everything.
R2-D2, Wicket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, was he R2-D2? No, I think that was
in the new movies.
In the new ones.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Willow. He has been in Harry Potter. He's obviously been in Star Wars. He's I mean, the man's legend.
Yep.
So kudos to him for coming back.
So another big thing they're coming out with, which I'm not excited about, but I thought I'd throw it out there. Indiana Jones 5.
Why?
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
Crystal Skull was awful.
Yeah, I love Indiana Jones, but let's just stop.
And then, so let me wrap up Star Wars with Patty Jenkins, who is the director of Wonder Woman 1984. She's going to be doing a movie. All the stuff I mentioned before is going to be on Disney Plus, whether it's animated or live action. Whereas Patty Jenkins is doing a Rogue Squadron, which was a popular video game. It's going to be a fighter pilot, movie. So that sounds cool. I don't know who's going to be in it, but that sounds like a cool idea. And then the final thing is Taika Waititi from Marvel fame. He's directing the next Star Wars movie. It's Untitled, but if you've seen the artwork, it's very Guardians of the Galaxy like. Like, it looks pretty cool. I think it's going to be kind of funny. It's not going to be like anything we've seen from Star Wars, which I think might be a good thing because clearly, they've kind of run out of ideas.
Yeah, I literally rewatched Thor Ragnarok last night. Love it.
Awesome.
So
movie.
good.
Okay, let's get to Marvel now. So
Speaking
Marvel,
of Thor.
and I'm gonna let Frank talk about this one. So Marvel, with their announcements, and I'm gonna get to the announcements, but the first big announcement, and Frank, I'm gonna let you go on this one. They announced that Black Panther 2 is in fact coming out. It's going to be in theaters in 2023 or 2022, I believe. Ryan Coogler, he's back to direct it. He's rewriting it because of obviously the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And the big news is they're not recasting T'Challa. They're going to honor Chadwick Boseman they're not recasting the character. They're going to continue to explore Wakanda with other characters. So, Frank, what do you think about that?
I'm not mad at that. I mean, I think what Ryan Coogler and Marvel and Feige are doing is astoundingly sensitive and considerate. I mean, we all saw Black Panther. It took the world by storm. It made over $1 billion. It was the phenomenon of Marvel during that time span. And Chadwick was a cult hero, and I mean, the man was on Time magazine. He changed the face of Black superheroes, right? So with Marvel's decision not to recast him and to explore more Wakanda, I think is a perfect route to go to. Now in the comic books, there's so many routes you can go with the storyline. I mean, Shuri became Black Panther for a little bit when T'Challa was in a coma. You have T'Challa's foster brother, the White Wolf, was Sebastian Stan. They kind of show that a little bit with Sebastian Stan, but there's a character called the White Wolf as well. You have so many characters that you can explore and expand in that world in Wakanda. So I can't be mad at that. I think it's highly respectable what they're doing. It's highly commendable, and Marvel hasn't failed us yet. They just finished a 10-year story arc. From 08 or 12 years, 10 years, 08 to 18 with first Avengers, first Iron Man to Endgame. So, with their reputation of great, storyboarding and storytelling over a long period of time, I can't wait to see what they have up their sleeve. What you guys think?
George, what's your thoughts on Black Panther or just Marvel's dominance?
I don't know. I love that they're going to honor Chadwick in that way and not recast him and just have him have another character pick up where they left off and just see how it goes from there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they said it already, but the very fact that you can't, I don't believe you can have someone fill Chadwick's shoes with Black Panther. I think it would be great. We said it when we had our tribute to Chadwick earlier this year, that I think it would be in the best interest to maybe have Shuri come in to that mantle and empower women, Black women at that, like how Black Panther empowered Black young men. So I think that would be a great route to explore. Of course, we don't know what's actually in store for the character or Black Panther character. But I think it would be really awesome to see Shuri, just step into that role. But Chadwick, that was a big loss. And that's something I kind of do want to talk about towards the end of the show, just like, the best and worst of 2020. I think a lot of the losses of 2020, was pivotal, of course, in the entertainment industry. And I think one of the biggest ones was definitely Chadwick. So I'm glad that they're not going to recast his role.
Yeah, exactly. I think with that, the only way you could recast that were if it were, 30 years from now or something, or 10 years or 20 years from now. You can't do it coming off like Black Panther was just a couple of years ago. I mean, and the only way you could maybe work around that is you just, the character is never, is always in the mask. Then you could continue the character without ever having to show someone else play T'Challa. So, but I mean, that doesn't work for how Marvel does stuff. And, they're undefeated. So I really can't say they made the wrong choice. But they've got a lot of stuff coming up. And, we've been without Marvel for in fact, all of 2020, there's been no Marvel, but that's about to change because WandaVision hits Disney Plus on January 15th. And WandaVision starts a run of, you have WandaVision January 15th, and then a few months later you have The Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I can't wait for that series. And then followed by Loki, which they dropped the trailers for all three of these shows. I'm not sure if y'all got a chance to see them. I'm pretty sure George did. They look freaking awesome. Like, George, do you want to talk about Loki or the Falcon Winter Soldier or WandaVision?
So, yeah, I think I asked y'all the same question of how WandaVision was going to work. And I think you kind of explained to me that it might be like a multiverse type thing. And
yeah,
that sounds interesting. And I hope I'm sure they're going to tie it into one of the movies later on. But I guess the show I'm most excited about is going to be Loki. I'm very curious to see when he disappeared in the movie, if it's going to pick up from there, and then we're just going to see what happens from there. So I'm pretty excited for that show. That's probably the one I'm looking forward to most.
I think there's this theme of multiverse because even with Loki, it's still like a multiverse situation. Because obviously, spoiler, we saw him die in, what was it, Infinity War? Endgame? I can't even remember at this point, sorry.
Endgame, I believe.
Infinity War.
Infinity
War. Yeah, it was, because they run into the ship at the end of Ragnarok.
At the beginning.
Right, okay, thank you. So, yeah, we saw him die, and then, of course, at Endgame, they went back in time, and like George said, he vanishes. So, yeah, Marvel seems to be going into this multiverse sort of, vibe, especially with the Spider-Man. What was it, a couple years ago? What was that movie, Justin?
The Miles Morales
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse. Right. Yep. Thank you. So there's a theme here, and that's obviously what they're gonna, go into. I'm really excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think just to carry on that mantle of being Captain America and whatever challenges, come their way is gonna be intense, I'm pretty sure, but I love their chemistry together. I think they're hilarious together. But I'm really excited about that show.
And I think that show is going to tackle a lot of serious stuff. I mean, I know if y'all seen the trailer, Anthony Mackie's character of the Falcon says hey, there's a lot of history with this shield. And I don't think he means it's all positive stuff. There's a lot of stuff with that Captain American character and the whole super soldier kind of program that, it's not above board, so to speak. There's been a lot of bad things that have happened to create Captain America. And Steve Rogers was just kind of was kind of a fluke that he was just such a big guy who became Captain America. But there's a lot of history with that shield. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing.
Well, I think they'll probably address some social, issues that's going on, today, much like how The Boys addressed a lot of, social and political issues that were going on in this last season. I'm very interested to see what Marvel will do.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Justin. So in the Winter Soldier Falcon spinoff, Isaiah Bradley was the first Black Captain America in World War II. It was very racial. It was a spin on the Tuskegee experiments. They experiment on a lot of Black soldiers, and Isaiah Bradley was the first one that actually survived. So they may touch on that in the Falcon Winter Soldier spinoff, and I'll put a link in our group chat on Facebook too, so you guys can take a look at that too. But I can see it getting very dark, very deep, very soon. That show, a lot of racial undertones in that.
Yeah, just the fact that from what I can see from the trailer, with Captain America now aging out or whatever, they've created a new Captain America. There's this guy, U.S. agent, who's now the new like kind of corporate Captain America, who's coming in to play that role, and that almost feels like The Boys to me. It almost feels like a Homelander kind of situation. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. And Nathan, did you get a chance to check out the Loki trailer by any chance?
I did actually. That's the show I'm most stoked for from the Marvel shows coming on Disney. Tom Hiddleston's Loki is just so amusing, so awesome. He just kills it. And I think it's going to be a fun, kind of like, WandaVision's going to be. It's kind of going to be a kind of odd take on reality, if you will, of the Marvel Universe. A lot lighter, I think, in a lot of ways than probably Falcon Winter Soldier. But I'm really looking forward to it. Just any more screen time we can get with Tom Hiddleston as Loki, I'm 100% down for that.
I concur.
So those projects, I mean, we're all excited for all three of those shows, but we knew those were coming, right? In fact, all of those shows we should have already seen, I think, or at least WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier. They were both delayed because of the pandemic, obviously. But let's get to some of the new things that Marvel announced. There's going to be a Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury show with Ben Mendelsohn is returning to be the Skrull Talos. It's a Secret Invasion. That's coming to Disney Plus in I don't have a time period for that one, but it's coming in the next couple of years. We've got a series called Ironheart, which Nathan and Frank, y'all might know more about this. I know it's a character who in a world where Tony Stark is dead, which obviously is the current Marvel world, and there's a young girl who is a genius like Tony Stark, and she basically becomes Iron Man. Is that right, correct, Frank?
Yeah. So she's Tony Stark's protege. So she was a student, I think MIT student, I want to say, and Tony Stark took a liking to her, and basically took her under his wing. And so when Tony dies, it was an alternate timeline, but when Tony dies, she dons the Iron Man suit, and she's a super intellect genius like Tony. She's not as condescending and brash, but when the comic book first came out 6-7 years ago, it was not well received because a lot of fans, again with race, they were like, how do you replace him with a black girl? And this is an alternate timeline, so people were very up in arms about it, and then but while that was going on, I created a cult following, and the artists and the writers, I think Avery Agai, or I can't remember his name, but he continued the series, and it became a favorite. The Miles Morales storyline, Miles Morales Spider-Man, really dawned the start of many young Black superheroes. So I hope it does well. I'm going to watch it for sure. Don't be surprised if you don't get maybe a Tony Jarvis type of artificial intelligence in there as well. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where all of these Disney Plus shows, these characters are going to be in movies. Whether they're going to have like a an Avengers like Secret War, or they're going to have like a Young Avengers. Because if you look at the casting for all these shows, Ironheart's a young black girl. You have Miss Marvel. It's a young, I believe is it Pakistani? I'm not sure. I don't know much about the character. She's in the video game.
Yeah, you're right.
Kamala Khan. Yeah. And all these people that are coming out are these young people, and it looks like they're definitely building up for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of the world of Tony Stark, there's another series coming to Disney Plus called Armor Wars, which is a storyline where Tony Stark's tech falls in the wrong hands, and it's up to Rhodey, aka the War Machine, to stop these people. So, do y'all have any thoughts on Armor Wars?
If Don Cheadle's in it, I'm pro Don Cheadle anything. So if he's
he's in it. He's in it. Yep. He's back.
It's better than Iron Patriot.
Was that Iron Man 2 reference?
Yeah.
That was my joke. I mean, I'm only good for one, but wasn't that great. Anyway, Luna doesn't even like it. See?
She's not a fan. So we've also got a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming in the holidays in 2022. So in a couple of years, we can watch that. And there's going to be an I Am Groot animated series coming to Disney Plus.
I think the dialogue on that should be pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, also with Groot comes the greatest living actor alive, that's going right now, Vin Diesel. Like the man who lives his life 1/4 mile at a time. So
I do want to point something out. I rewatched Guardians 2 recently. I'm actually going through all the Marvel
MCU
movies again, and something I missed in the end credits. There's 5 end scenes, like end credit scenes, in Guardians 2. But all throughout the credits, there's just amusing little things that are happening, and one of those things, interestingly enough, was Peter's first dad. No, I mean Peter's first dad, David Hasselhoff, saying "We are Groot," which I was like, "Wow, just amusing."
The Hoff, yeah.
The Hoff.
Don't hassle the Hoff.
So we've got some Guardian stuff. Obviously, there's going to be a Guardians Volume 3. It's coming in the next few years also.
New mixtape, people.
Yeah. But let's get down to the two newest movies they announced. They announced a new Ant-Man and the Wasp movie called Quantumania, which sounds like something Hulk Hogan would be meeting Ultimate Warrior for the title at Quantumania. and then here's my favorite, and this is probably the one that got people the most excited. Fantastic Four is coming to the MCU.
No.
Oof.
No.
I think it's going to be because
No.
the Fantastic Four, they're Marvel's first family. They're the first family of Marvel. They're the first characters.
No.
It's going to be awesome.
No,
I think
it's
John
not.
Krasinski is going to play.
I'm sorry. No.
Fantastic.
What's that?
Is it Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah, Mr. Fantastic. Yeah.
Look,
I mean, it hasn't been announced. But
again, Marvel has not done me wrong yet, so I have faith. Long as Fox has nothing to do with it, I'm ready for it.
Listen,
Also,
the reboot was awful. Okay.
well,
That was Fox. That wasn't.
Yeah, that was not the MCU. And also the director, John Watts, who did the first two Spider-Man movies. He did Far From Home, or he did Homecoming and Far From Home. He's doing the third movie, which there's so much to talk about that, but we'll skip that. He's also directing Fantastic Four. So I've liked these Star Wars movies. I think Fantastic Four is probably going to be really good. George, do you have any thoughts on any of this Marvel stuff?
I'm excited to see that movie. See, hopefully, if they finally get it right. Well, I guess time will tell. We'll see what happens.
Listen, as long as J.J. Abrams doesn't have to come in and like rewrite the thing as it's being filmed, like, okay, cool, like, fine.
So I got something. Where are the mutants?
Where are the mutants? X-Men is going to be next.
But I mean, this is the next year or 2 years out, and there's like not a hint of X-Men or mutants. I'm like, come on now.
2025 is my prediction.
I don't want to wait that long, man.
Well, I don't either, but I mean, I waited how long did I wait for Luke Skywalker to come back? 37 years. So it happened today. Well, no,
not technically.
That's not right because he was in
your favorite 7, 8, and 9 or 7 and 8. I guess he was in 9.
7 and 8 I didn't hate as much. 9 is terrible. But anyway, we're done with Star Wars. And unless you'll have any more thoughts on Marvel, we're done with Marvel. Any last thoughts on Marvel's new slate? What's coming up?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys heard. So Marvel Disney came out, I think last week and said that Deadpool 3 is going to be in the works, and it's keeping its rated R rating too. So now it still hasn't been. I don't know if they're going to bring back all the original cast members from the last one, but I hope they do.
Deadpool would be a great place for them to introduce the New Mutants. Or to bring the mutants into the Marvel Universe using Deadpool.
Absolutely.
Maybe they will.
Deadpool is technically a mutant.
Yeah.
He's not. Yeah, he's a mutant. So maybe they play that into the storyline of introducing all the new mutants, and you never know. In the comic books, Deadpool and Wolverine are frenemies, so you might get a Wolverine introduction. Maybe, who knows?
Francis.
So I have one thing I want to talk about, but it's Disney, but it's not Marvel or Star Wars.
Okay.
And it is. I don't want to say it's like confirmed in any way. It's in the wheelhouse because there are some thoughts that have come out from them, but no real specifics on anything casting or shooting or anything wise. And I may be the only person on here that's a big fan of it, but Firefly, a reboot. I've mixed feelings on it. At first I was super excited because I love Firefly. Love the show. Love the movie Serenity. This was one of Joss Whedon's babies. But it sounds like they'll be probably distancing themselves from Joss Whedon over recent things in the news under his investigation for it. But not only that, it sounds like they're going to be moving away from the PG-13/17 sort of side and going with a PG family adventure kind of thing, which really wasn't like that show. So I don't know. At first I was excited, and then when I read more about it, I'm less so.
Yeah, and I'm kind of familiar with that stuff. I think this might be one of the things where that day Disney, it was a 4-hour investor call, and they announced just a ton of stuff. Not all that stuff is actually going to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think all the Marvel stuff will happen because Marvel is just batting a thousand.
They've proven their effectiveness with this.
I think some of the Star Wars stuff probably won't happen because a couple of years ago they had the same investor call where they said that David Weiss or DB Weiss and David Benioff were directing Star Wars movies, and that's not going to happen. So
they watched season 8.
Right.
Thank God that didn't happen. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I understand your concerns about something that you really enjoyed. I mean, I don't know. It might happen. It might not. It's so, I don't know. Cause they announced a movie where Chris Evans is going to play Buzz Lightyear, but he's going to play like Toy Story was based on the toys. The Lightyear is going to be based on the person, Buzz Lightyear. So
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So
that's fantastic.
That's such a wild. I mean, I think that one's actually going to happen, but that's such a crazy way. Like that's something I would never think of. I'm not a huge story. I like Toy Story, but I'm not a huge fan of it or anything like that. But so there's a lot of stuff coming our way from Disney, and we're ready. We've got nothing else to do. But
yeah,
let's go to the next topic. We're gonna leave Marvel. And we're going to go to their kind of rival DC. I say kind of rival because, it's like, the rival between a fly and the windshield is not really a rivalry, because the windshield wins like every time. But the fly has got some stuff in the works. And most notably, Wonder Woman 84 is coming to HBOMax. It's going to be in theaters and on HBOMax on Christmas Day.
All right, can I start this one?
Go for it.
All right. I absolutely don't care. It's DC.
Real.
DC's
Really?
terrible. Wonder Woman was, granted, one of the best things they had. I saw a 5-second trailer with her with golden wings landing. It looked terrible, and I said, no, not bothering. So, yep.
I think
that's all I got to say on DC.
Wow. I mean, I think we should review it, though. I mean, when we come back,
you can watch it and then tell me why I was wise to not watch it, or try and convince me to watch it, and I still won't.
I'm not saying
I've been burned too many times by DC to give them any more of my money.
Wonder Woman was good, though.
It was,
yeah,
but not good enough for me to risk it again at DC. The only thing DC has done since the second Batman movie that I was really happy about was Joker. Wonder Woman was the best of the worst, and it wasn't bad, but I'm sorry, I just don't have faith in them anymore.
Yeah, I've got a second Nathan on this. As much as I loved Wonder Woman, because I thought that told a really great story and it was just done well overall, I don't know about this 84 business. No shade to people from that era.
Guilty.
You know, the thing is, though, what the cool part about it, I mean, cool for us because we don't have to go to the theater, is the fact that it'll be on HBO Max. It's a movie that is coming out on Christmas Day and we can watch it from our homes. I know a lot of people in the movie industry, they're not going to be a fan of that, but that's the future and it's the present. So to me, almost the bigger story than it actually being a Wonder Woman movie is the fact that the movie you can watch at home. So, I mean, I guess I'll just go around. Are y'all, George, are you going to watch it?
At home? Yeah, I'll watch it. If it's free, sure. I'm not paying for it. And
just whatever you pay for HBO Max. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I didn't know if it was gonna be free like that, or they're gonna charge you a premium like Disney did on Mulan and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm gonna jump in real quick. That was really weird when Disney decided to do that about Mulan. It's but if I already have the service, I mean, why wouldn't that already be accessible to me? I mean, I did watch Mulan. Sorry, my dog's being crazy right now. But I did watch Mulan. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, George, I agree with you. The very fact that
Luna's a big Mulan fan. Everybody
loves it. No, but that's the thing about HBO Max is there's no premium plan. Whatever you pay for HBO Max a month, which I'm fortunate because I have AT&T internet, I get it for free. I didn't know I had it until 2 months after I had it apparently. But now that I have it, I watch it quite often, and I'll definitely watch the movie, Christmas Day or the day after or something. Frank, are you excited about Wonder Woman or?
Yeah, I mean, I like the first one. I thought it was one of the few DC highlights outside of Teen Titans and kind of Man of Steel. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. I love Gal Gadot. I mean, I wasn't convinced at first when she got casted because Wonder Woman is an Amazonian. She's a very thick, curvy woman. So when they cast Gal Gadot, I was kind of what? But she did a good job. So I'm gonna give it a shot, and I'm just gonna watch from George's HBO Max. So it's all good.
So Wonder Woman 84 is the test case for what Warner Brothers is going to do in 2021 for all its theatrical movies. They're all coming to the first day they're going to be in theaters. They're also going to be on HBO Max, and they're going to be on HBO Max at no extra charge for 30 days. So I'm going to run down through the list of movies. Y'all let me know what you think about these. But the Suicide Squad, which remember, this is the Suicide Squad James Gunn version. I think this is going to be good. That's going to be August 6th, 2021. It's going to be available on HBO Max. You're going to have The Matrix 4, December 22nd, 2021 on HBO Max.
And just so you know, you butt in real quick. That's not a reboot, right? That's a continuation of Matrix 3, correct?
Yeah. It's The Matrix 4. Yeah, it's Keanu Reeves is back. It's the fourth installment.
And not just Keanu Reeves is back. The Colonel's back too. KFC chicken. That's why it all tastes like chicken.
Nice.
Yep.
Is it extra crispy or is it? I like grilled. I mean, I haven't had KFC in a while, but when they brought out the grilled, I was like, sign me up. And then they never have it whenever you go to the drive-thru, or they didn't 10 years ago.
I heard they're going old school. Original gangster here. It's going to be literally original.
Just fried.
Finger licking. I think it's going to be like, I think they're going to have like a slow motion, like 15-minute cutscene where it's just literally licking fingers really slowly.
That can be hot. That can be hot. Okay, you got me. I'm having KFC for dinner. It's decided. No, but also, so in addition to those movies, Dune is coming. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Dune, but it was a
Frank Miller's Dune.
Yeah.
Badass.
What's that?
That trailer looks badass for that.
It does. Yeah.
I have not seen the trailer yet, actually.
Jason Momoa is in it, no?
Yeah, he's in it. Dave Bautista's in it. Timothy Chalamet, he's the lead. Yeah. I mean, it's a big movie that, like, I mean, it's going to be on TV. Like, it's going to be in your house on, the day it drops in the theater. Godzilla versus Kong, which, it's a movie that people would probably want to see on a big screen because you have these giant beasts. But I've seen the last couple Godzilla movies in the theater, and they're terrible. These are bad movies. So I might watch this, on HBOMax.
Hard pass. Pass.
Well, what about Space Jam: A New Legacy? The
Equally
LeBron
hard
James.
pass.
I know, like LeBron James, like, hey bud, like, how about this? Like, you're always like worried about the whole Jordan comparison. Here's a tip: get your own number, right? Get your own jersey number, which choose something besides 23. Also, if you're going to make a movie, don't make the second Space Jam movie, okay? The Jordan version wasn't very good anyway, but like, don't like do this. I mean,
I love Space Jam.
Okay, but I mean, you're not going to like be watching it later. You're not like, you won't watch it ever again. I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan. I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan there is. I'll never watch that movie again. But then you have LeBron, who's going to be a new legacy. So, no one was going to go see this movie anyway. So it's going to be on HBO Max. There's a Conjuring movie. I don't know if y'all are into those horror movies. They're going to be on there for free. There's a Sopranos movie, The Many Saints of Newark.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
No, I didn't hear about this.
I didn't either.
There's a movie that's written by Hamilton's. I'm sorry.
With the same characters like from the show?
Well,
I'll read the description.
Not all of them.
Oh, it's right.
I mean,
so
yeah,
it's a prequel film.
Oh, okay.
It says the prequel to the HBO hit series will see the son of the late James Gandolfini, Michael Gandolfini, take on the role of Tony Soprano, which his father made famous.
Oh no, it's not a prequel then. It's
from his son.
No, but it's a prequel, whereas Tony Soprano's younger.
Wait,
it's like
you said Tony's son?
Okay, so James Gandolfini's son is going to play Tony Soprano, but a younger version of Tony Soprano.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
It's Tony Soprano before The Sopranos, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be good. March 12th. That's not too far away.
I didn't like shows, and that's who's playing him?
Yeah.
He wasn't a good actor.
I did not like him, dude. He was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, that was 10 years ago. Maybe he's improved as an actor as he gotten older. I don't know.
So here's a movie that I think Brittany might like. It's called In the Heights, and it's Lin-Manuel. No, I'm not.
Why the hell would you say something like that to someone who doesn't break 5 foot? What the hell, Justin?
Okay, it has nothing to do with your height. It's because Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote this. It's a musical about New York City's Washington Heights.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with it, but I'm flabbergasted about the whole title, and it was like a shot at me, dude. Like we can't
shots fired.
We can't all be 6'2" like you are, okay? Like shit.
It wasn't a short joke, but you know what? If you want to settle our battle, let's settle our battle on January 15th when Mortal Kombat the reboot comes out.
Nice play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a new Mortal Kombat film. We'll see your favorite characters from the classic fighting game come to the big screen again. Okay, so quick, let's just go around the room. Who is your favorite Mortal Kombat player to use or character?
Scorpion.
Damn it, that's the only one I can remember.
Not Luke Cage, not Johnny Cage, not Sonya.
Okay, I'm gonna admit something. I'm a Street Fighter kid.
Yep,
Okay?
same.
I grew up in these streets with Ryu and Ken. Okay,
Give me Blanca.
Yeah,
Blanca. Give me Chun-Li.
You be savage,
freaking-
bro.
Yeah, or Balrog, the Mike Tyson ripoff.
God.
I'm from these streets. Street
Balrog
Fighter.
was in Lord of the Rings.
What's that?
I said Balrog was in Lord of the Rings.
There's a Balrog in Street Fighter also.
Okay.
It's a very popular character
Okay,
name.
I'm just saying because Tolkien like wrote this story way
Yeah.
before Street Fighter came out.
Well, Tolkien, like if you check the footnotes at the end of the Return of the King, he actually mentions like concept design for Street Fighter, the
I
game.
hate you.
But I mean,
Yeah.
obviously technology wasn't there yet. But yeah, it
He
literally
also,
that's what he wanted.
he-
He wanted like a Hobbit pit fight kind of game.
he also put the Contra code. He put up, down, left, right, BA start.
Yeah.
So if you use that code, you get infinite lives on Contra. And so,
Man.
I mean, 2020 has sucked. But if you're watching this now and you didn't know about the Contra code, I just saved your life. So
Infinite
You're
number of
welcome.
times.
yeah. So Nathan, who is your favorite Mortal Kombat character?
I'll be honest. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. That's not you. That's me. Sorry, TDing and talking don't always go well together. I seriously, dude. I played Mortal Kombat maybe like 3 times in my life. I played Street Fighter maybe 300,000 times in my life. I was
Okay.
totally a Street Fighter person. Couldn't care less about Mortal Kombat.
You're cool. Okay.
I
Frank.
played Mortal Kombat on Sega with my brother Mike, and I'm sure he let me win, various times, but I was always Sonya.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, what about you? Were you Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter? Who's your favorite character?
I was Street Fighter Ultimate Championship Edition.
Oh, nice.
I'm old school, bro. 91, 92. I was a big Sagat fan, Guile and Ryu and Ken. Mortal Kombat, I was Sub-Zero and Raiden. Those are my 2 favorites.
There you go.
I haven't played the new ones. I don't know. I know that they've like added Terminator and Rambo and
Yeah.
Michael Jason. I mean, it's just
The Ninja Turtles are in the game now. The Ninja Turtles are in it. DC characters are in it. Yeah, because they're all owned by.
Get all these copyright, all these get the
Well,
characters on.
They're
there.
owned by Warner Brothers. So yeah. So here's a couple more movies y'all might find interesting. There's a new Tom and Jerry coming
Ugh.
cartoon.
It looks so bad, dude. Oh my.
Yeah,
I
it
love
does.
Tom and Jerry, bro. Like that's one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. But that looks awful.
I haven't seen this. Is a trailer for it?
It's like a live action, like a.
Oh no, they didn't give the Sonic treatment, did they?
Oh man.
Worse.
I mean, the characters are animated, but it's like it's animated characters in like a live action world.
So it's
Yeah,
like the
man.
Chipmunks movie.
Yeah,
Or Cool World?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
That's awful.
So what do y'all think about this one coming November 19th, 2021? It's called King Richard. King Richard will see Will Smith star as Richard Williams, the father of tennis champions Venus and Serena Williams.
Why do I care?
Yeah,
I know. I know. And like, I mean, I don't know a ton about the Williams sisters, but isn't their dad like, I don't think he didn't molest them, but didn't he like, he was pretty rough on his kids. Like they're not like
That's
fans
like
of him,
making
I don't think.
That's like making a Joe Jackson movie about Joe Jackson, not Michael Jackson. Why do I give a shit?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or like Earl Woods, like the story of Tiger's dad or something. That just, okay, cool.
It sounds like every other parent who is a manager of their child prodigy who, pushes them, and yeah, no, I couldn't care less.
But I guess to wrap up this part of the discussion, what do y'all think about movies doing this? What do y'all think about, I'm going to start with George. What do you think about the fact that instead of like, if you're able to go to the theater and a theater is open in your area, you're down to go and you're going to wear your mask and everything. What do you think about how these movies are now going to be on HBO Max? I mean, would you ever go to the theater if you had this option?
I wouldn't. It's smart, dude. Like I really think it's smart that they're gonna do this, and I think if they have if they get the amount of users that they want to get based off these subscriptions, because they're gonna show all these movies, they say it's only gonna be for this year, but they're gonna keep doing it, dude. Because there's no point. Like they're literally gonna be making so much money from it.
100%. You totally nailed it. Like they are. Yeah, this is the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the future. And I just saw an article today about like a U.S. senator asking to make Netflix and just all the streaming services free for the holidays, so people stay like at home and they don't go do shit and like go outside or whatever.
That's really smart.
So we'll see what happens with that, but I think it's the future, Jay. It's going to happen eventually, even if people have to pay a premium for it, like to rent or buy the movies. Oh, well.
I mean, just the financials of it. Think about going to a movie. You're spending $35, $40 probably anyway. Like now you get these same movies for like $15. Like you're paying a service where you get $15 a month. You can watch this movie. Like if you want to watch Mortal Kombat 50 times in that 30-day period, you can do that. You know, like Brittany, what do you have any thoughts on this, or Frank or Nathan? What are your thoughts about this?
No, I mean, I think it definitely is like the way of the future, just like how obviously because of the pandemic, everyone's had to shift, you know, instead of going out to go shopping or to get food or to go out for entertainment, you know, it's all in the confines of their own home, and you can do it, you know, online and not have to venture out. However, I do feel like I would really miss the experience of going to the theater to see a movie for the first time on the silver screen, and how big that screen is compared to just watching it, you know, at home at, you know, my house. Because I can't, and this is where I draw issue with Disney with its decision about having people pay $30 to watch Mulan. Now, I did eventually watch Mulan when it was available to Disney Plus subscribers. It got a solid meh from me. However, I can't imagine paying $30 when I can just watch it in the comfort of my own home. Like that to me is ridiculous. And, you know, that's just me talking. But if there's streaming services, just like what we're talking about with HBOMax, and all the movies are going to be there, like if you already have it and they're just going to be available to you there, then that's cool. But like, I wouldn't want to pay more specifically for streaming. I will rather pay and go to a theater and get that experience.
I understand that. Like, I think like if there was a Marvel movie, like an Avengers movie, and we could do stuff safely, that's something I want to see in the theaters. But I think for a lot of this stuff, I don't mind the fact that, you know, like I wasn't going to go see Mortal Kombat. I'm not going to go see King Kong versus Godzilla. I might watch it on HBO Max, you know. Frank, what are your thoughts on all this?
I mean, I don't mind watching movies at home. I mean, that saves me time getting in my car and driving and spending gas and buying popcorn. I can just buy it at the store and do it at the crib. My only concern is that a sustainable business model? Like I know a lot of movies, a lot of production companies, they get a big cut, you know, from concessions and ticket sales, and you know they have contracts with AMC and Regal, and is that gonna you know implode the movie industry in a year if all these movies are coming out at home and like there's no profit being made for the movie theaters or the production companies? And then, you know, like I think we talked the other day, Justin, a lot of these actresses get kickbacks from ticket sales. So I mean, look, I'm all for it. I have no problem watching movies at home, but is that going to be sustainable for Hollywood?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to renegotiate things as far as that. Nathan, what is your take on all this?
3 words from the standpoint of streaming. Just like Thanos, I am inevitable. This was coming long before the pandemic.
Yep. Totally agree. And I think just to kind of put a bow on this part of the show, I'll say the reason why HBO Max is doing this is because HBO Max and Warner Brothers, they're owned by AT&T, right? AT&T is a cell phone company. They want people on their phone. They want people buying their phones, watching stuff on their phone. and they have a streaming service that is behind Netflix, that's behind Disney Plus. This is their way to get, to catch up to those. I don't know if they ever will, but I think it's worth a shot because, like we just mentioned, a lot of these movies, some of them are interesting, but some of them there's no way I'd pay money to go see in person. I might pay $15 a month to have the service for the whole month. You know what I mean? So it's
Justin, you better run, man. They're coming for you.
Oh, I know.
He besmirched the name of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you never do that. So the next thing I want to get to, and I'm gonna kick off with George because George, he is the binge master. No one watches more shows than George Luna.
That's right.
So here we go, George. Here's the question: what have you been watching lately? And let us know all of it, everything.
So I'm gonna tell you my favorite shows from 2020. The Boys Season 2, Hunters, and this is going by like Amazon or whatever. Hunters. Thank you, Frank, for putting me onto Yellowstone. That one's on there. Now we're going to HBO, The Undoing, We Are Who We Are, Lovecraft Country, The Outsider, Raised by Wolves. Now we're going into Showtime, Billions, Black Monday. Now we're in Netflix, Queen's Gambit, Tiger King, which surprisingly came out this year, and it feels like it came out like 2 years ago. Love is Blind, that was hilarious, and I think I got Frank to binge watch that show.
Thank you, George. I hate dating shows, and that was great. I'm not gonna lie, that was great.
It was so funny. And lastly, I have 2 Apple shows, Apple TV, The Ted Lasso Show, and Defending Jacob.
What about Tubi or Pluto? Do you have anything on those? I mean, like you're everywhere, man. Like you got.
No, I don't have anything on those. I don't even know if they have their own shows. Like if they do, then I'd probably know about it.
I don't think they do. Well, out of all those shows,
Shudder does. I believe.
Yeah, Shudder does. Yeah. Out of all those shows you listed, George, pick out just a couple things you want to highlight or you want to let people know or reasons why they should watch these shows.
I want to let people know that HBO is like the greatest like company to make shows of all time, dude. Like it's not even close. Like HBO is
even with Game of Thrones.
Well, they did pretty good,
especially with Game of Thrones. Like let's not forget, like season 8 was not good, but that's a damn good show. That's still high up there.
Yeah. But I think just HBO is doing incredible work with like all these shows, and I'm looking forward to see what else they're making, what they're gonna make, and just some of these seasons of these other shows that are delayed right now. But I'm excited for 2021.
Okay, you mentioned like every show that I think every person's watching. I'm gonna kick it over to Frank. So Frank, what have you been watching lately, and what are some of like your favorite things from 2020?
I'm all about Yellowstone right now. My friend had been telling me to watch that show for years, and I'm just like, cowboys and Native Americans and Wranglers. I don't know about all that, but like that show's fucking gangster, bro. It's a gangster ass show. Like Kevin Costner does it. He does it. I've been watching that. I started Schitt's Creek. It's slow. It's okay so far. People keep telling me it's funny. I'm 3 episodes in, so I'm gonna give it about 4 more episodes to see if I like it or not. What other shows I've been watching? The Residents. I just finished season 3 of The Residents. Dr. Sean Fox. Tiger King. That's one. That was a shit show, but I couldn't stop watching it. Love is Blind, of course. The Boys. The Boys is probably my favorite show of the year. By far, yeah. It's not even close. Like it kicks. What other shows I've been watching this year? I actually started watching the Harley Quinn cartoon series. It's an adult cartoon on DC Network. That show is kids can't watch that show, but it's really really funny. It's
also on HBOMax too.
It is. Yeah, it's also on HBOMax as well. So that's been on my watch list as well. I'm gonna start Queen's Gambit this weekend. That's pretty much about it. I've been watching a lot of movies lately, not a lot of shows, but those are shows I have been watching. Also, Lovecraft Country is also on my watch list. So I'm gonna watch that too. I keep hearing great things about that too.
Okay. That's a lot of stuff also. I'm going to go to Brittany now. Brittany, what's some of the things you're watching lately, and what's your best of 2020? What's the best stuff you saw in 2020?
So honestly, I haven't watched a whole heck of a lot of anything just because this semester I started my MBA, and as a full-time student, I really couldn't dedicate myself to like anything other than just, school and then work because, kind of have to work, quote unquote work. But I did, because, for shits and giggles, I did rewatch some shows earlier this year. Being The Handmaid's Tale, The Witcher, mainly because I just kind of wanted to give The Witcher like another chance. Like, did I really enjoy it, or was it like, that kind of thing? Right now, because I am off of work and we're going into winter break, obviously, I'm rewatching Harry Potter because Harry Potter is life. But other shows I actually did watch that were new this year are The Crown. It was, I believe, season 4 of The Crown. I can't even remember at this moment.
Yeah, season 4 came out like a couple months ago.
Okay, yeah. So I watched that season on Netflix, which was great. Speaking of Netflix, I also watched Emily in Paris, which to me was just a very charming, very kind of like rom-com kind of show. A lot of people had very various reviews about it, but I thought it was just very cute. One, because it's in Paris. I love Paris. It's my favorite city outside of the United States. And Lily Collins is actually Phil Collins' daughter, and she is the star of the show. And I think it was just very charming. What's that?
I watched that show.
Did you?
I watched the whole season.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was such a cute show. So I'm excited that that's going to be coming back as well. Network TV, I watched The Good Doctor. It's something I've been watching since it first premiered. It started off the season with the coronavirus, obviously, and the show itself is actually based off a Korean drama, if I'm not mistaken, but they wrote these episodes, like the first 2 episodes specifically because of the pandemic. And so it was really well done. I really enjoy Freddie Highmore as the Good Doctor, if you will. And then, as I mentioned, in terms of movies, I watched Mulan, the live action. It was good in the sense of like the action, because the main actress did about 90% of her stunts, and I thought she was great. The movie itself is just kind of like, I don't know, because we talked about this the other day about, they're not being Mushu, they're not being, some of the songs and that kind of thing, but, it is what it is. But then one other movie I watched that was very surprising to me was Enola Holmes. So it's the sister to Sherlock Holmes and Mycroft Holmes. And it's got Henry Cavill, who plays Sherlock Holmes. It's got Helena Bonham Carter, who plays the mother to the Holmes children. And it's Billy Bob, or what's her name? She's from Stranger Things. Anyway.
Oh, Millie Bobby Brown, I think her name is.
Whatever her name is.
I think it's Millie Bobby Brown, yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown, yeah. Her. She played Enola Holmes, and she was fantastic in that role. She was just very cute, very quirky, very, just, I don't know. She did a really good job. And I thought it was actually going to be a series, but it turned out being a movie. But the best thing, Justin, I have to say,
I know where you're going with this.
Hamilton. Oh my God. That show, that movie, I don't know what you want to call it, but that was like the greatest moment of my life for 2020. It's been the soundtrack to my life since July. I fall asleep thinking of the lyrics. I have it on my Spotify. Like, it's such a good show. Like, and Frank and George, I have to tell you, you have to watch the opening act. Just watch the opening act. You don't like it, you don't have to watch it, further. It's so good.
I'll watch it if you watch Yellowstone.
That's a given. I'll do that. But like, you have to sit there and actually watch Hamilton. No phone, no other distraction. Give it your attention.
I'm gonna give it the 2-minute epilogue or what you was talking about, intro. I'll watch that. If I like it, then I'll continue. If I don't, it's going. I'm going back to Yellowstone.
I hate you.
George. I think. Go ahead, George.
Are you gonna watch Hamilton?
I don't know. I'll watch that first 2 minutes or whatever, but I don't like musicals at all.
It's so good though.
I'll
You
try.
know, at worst, Hamilton is like really awesome background noise. At the worst, it's actually really good. Like I'm not a fan of musicals. Like I couldn't name you very many musicals, but like I watched it on Brittany's recommendation.
That was your attempt to convince me to watch it. That's an outstanding background
Oh,
music. What the?
No. What I'm saying is, at the worst, like if it's at its like least amount of value, it's a really good background because the music's actually really good. Like it's
modern. It's not like it's, frilly theatrical, Broadway. It's actual modern. Like they rap, they've got hip hop, they've got, they've got a lot going on. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite characters in the whole show is King George. And he sings, obviously, but he's just hilarious. He's funny. And then also the guy, it's a dual role. He plays Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson. And the very fact that it's minority casting done purposefully to be part of these founding fathers, George Washington and Hamilton and Jefferson, what have you. It's just so well thought of. And it tells the whole story through song, and it's good. Trust me, I will not lead you down a wrong path.
It's very good. From Brittany to let's go to Nathan. Nathan, what have you been watching lately, and what's your best of 2020?
A lot of my best stubs are like everybody else's. The Boys to season 2, definitely. I liked Lovecraft Country a lot. Like a lot, because I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. I kind of wish they'd gone a slightly different route by the end. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I feel like it kind of concluded, and I kind of don't want it to. So, like, that was kind of a concern for me. But maybe if they do another season, it'll be like all new cast with a whole new premise and everything. Which I think they're trying to do like a seasons of story, maybe. In which case that works. Another show I don't think any of you have watched. It's kind of a little outside the normal ilk of what we watch. And that's Messiah, which I just really enjoyed the hell out of it, because after watching the entire first season, I am still wondering, is he the Messiah or is he a con man? And a show that can do that, I really enjoy.
I watched the first episode of season 1 and I could not get into it. I don't know if it's a slow burn or what.
Oh, it's definitely a slow burn.
Okay.
Like I said, it's not along the lines of what we normally watch or talk about on here. It is, if you're fine with a slow burn, it is really good, because I like watching a show and constantly wondering from episode to episode. Literally, like, one episode I'm like, oh man, there's no way this guy's not the Messiah. And then the next episode I'm like, well, maybe he's a con man. And it's back and forth as you get revealed stuff each episode. And it's a show of intrigue. It's straight up intrigue. There's a little bit of action, but mostly just intrigue. And okay. That's, I've watched a ton of other stuff, but to be honest, the rest of it, none of you have watched, I'm sure, because it's all YouTube videos. And that's what I watch 90% of the time, is YouTube videos.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. So I'll wrap this best of thing up here. I've got a couple things. Obviously, The Boys, that was the best show of the year. Mandalorian wasn't going to make my list until today. Like, the return of Luke Skywalker, that's definitely a highlight of 2020. This should be like the top thing for almost everybody, is the 2020 election, the presidential election. That went pretty well for certain folks.
I just enjoyed watching him lose again.
Right. Yeah, over and over
again. I don't know, guys. He hasn't lost yet. We
George, get out of here. Go.
Yeah, let's.
Oh. Hey, listen. In all seriousness, I heard he might be banned off Twitter after all this. So
probably not, because like
he over the last 4 years. This is the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, no, legally, since he's a political figure, they could not ban him because that is a mode of access, a media outlet to basically to speak. So it's actually like a rules clause within Twitter and other social media. But the second he's not a politician, they can drop him like a freaking orange turd.
I don't see how the media outlet when so much fake news is shared on social media in general.
But you know what, guys? Like, no one probably hates Donald Trump. I mean, there's people probably hate him more than I do, but I'm right there with all those people. But the problem with Twitter, he's kept Twitter relevant. You know what I mean? Like, think about how often, because he tweets about the dumbest shit, and that's how he communicates with people. Like, that's driven so much attention to Twitter and kind of kept them alive, because Twitter, honestly, since its inception in 2007 or 8, it hasn't really evolved or changed really much at all. I mean, except for the character.
Are you kidding me? You can go to 240 characters now.
No, I was about to say, yeah. Besides the character count doubling, nothing else has really changed about it. And to me, it's like, I don't even know why we really still have it. But I mean, he's kept it relevant because of all his batshit kind of crazy things he says. But that was obviously a highlight. But my real number one is something I was looking forward to for a couple of years once I heard about it. And it was, it's a topic that I know more about this person and this professional sports team than I know about my family. And that's The Last Dance documentary that came out over the summer. The Last Dance, it delivered. It was the story of Michael Jordan's last season with the Chicago Bulls. It was a documentary crew followed Jordan and the Bulls around, but it also, through multiple timelines, told Jordan's history, his whole life basically, and his teammates, like their lives, and just his whole run with the Bulls. And it was, I think it was perfection. I mean, it won an Emmy. I don't know if it'll be eligible for any kind of Oscar kind of stuff, but it nailed it. It was a 10-episode series. It's actually on Netflix now. Originally, it aired on ESPN, and the way they did it, it was a 10-episode show, and they during the summer they aired 2 episodes every Sunday for 5 Sundays, and it was awesome. And it was, it was great for me, a huge Chicago Bulls fan growing up, a fan for 30 years, huge Michael Jordan fan. But it was just great for sports because it came out in a time in April and May where there weren't any sports. Baseball wasn't back yet, and it really kept sports alive. And for me, like that era of sports and that team, they mean more to me than like current sports do. Like, yeah, do I watch sports? Of course I do. But do I care about them? Not really. And that team I cared so much about. And I just think that team was the best team. Michael Jordan's the best athlete ever, best basketball player, not even close. And I think, people nowadays, can kind of, that didn't grow up maybe or aren't as old as I am, can kind of see like how Michael Jordan's mentality and his drive to be the best. And he was not a beloved, person amongst his teammates all the time, but his drive to be the greatest player ever, like that kind of insane, like competitiveness. It was really cool to see. And I've read a ton of books about the Bulls and Michael Jordan. So really the documentary was nothing that I didn't already know, but it was so cool to see all these things, and then also to see people witness stuff. It was kind of appointment viewing. It's almost like, it felt like Game of Thrones to me, where every Sunday we would watch Game of Thrones and get excited for it. And The Last Dance was the same thing for me and, millions of others, because it was just this thing for 5 Sundays where it was like, this is like when sports was fucking awesome. This was the best of the best, and you get to see the backstory behind these people that are literal icons. I mean, Michael Jordan is like all these players to their brands. He is the only brand. Like, he has a legit brand. He has a logo that's as iconic as, Coca-Cola or, McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know.
Justin, I do. I know exactly what you mean. Like, I feel the same way about Pink Comet from the Marble Olympics. Like, so I'm right there with you.
As far as, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, I mean, marbles is a different level of athleticism
Yeah,
in
yeah.
sports, and you're right. You're right. But yeah, The Last Dance by far. I could do like a whole series just about that because I know so much about the story and like I just loved that documentary series. So
No, I agree, Justin. I'm a couple years younger than you, and I started watching basketball 94, 95. So I missed the first three-peat. So I didn't really I remember as a kid watching when they played the Suns, but again, I'm like in the third grade. So I didn't really understand the magnitude of what was going on. So watching the documentary, it really filled the gaps of like the hysteria and like the crazy pandemonium behind the Bulls teams. Like the Bulls were the Beatles. Like people don't understand how big the Bulls were during that time. Like, I mean, you had the Celtics in the '80s. You had the Lakers. The Bulls that was a team, that franchise was a team that sparked TV contracts globally. They sparked basketball interest globally. They sparked cable contracts. Like they really sparked like the big salary cap boom in the early '90s. That was because of the Bulls, because of the vast interest in Jordan. And I remember while that was on, I was texting you like, hey man, like this really happened, like because like you already knew about all this stuff, and like I didn't know about all that stuff. Like I didn't know about Pippen's contract. I didn't know about the infighting with the GM and the owner and the players. Like I didn't. I was so young. I didn't really watch Sports Center back then, so I didn't know what was going on. So watching it now as a 35-year-old man, I'm like, man, this is crazy. And this is without social media. Imagine social media was going on during that time. How big? Like Jordan's already big. He's probably the most popular athlete ever to grace a field, a court, whatever. If Facebook was around during that time, Twitter, social media, oh my God, the world would have exploded by that point. Like the guy was amazing. He was an asshole. He was a dick.
Oh yeah, he was.
But you see how much he cared about his craft, how he didn't stop at nothing to get to his goals. Like you have players now in all sports when if they go to playoffs year after year and lose to a team or lose to certain teams, they say, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna join a different team. This guy got beat up by Larry Bird, got beat up by Magic, got beat up by Isaiah, and he just kept on trucking. Like watching that, man, I was just in awe. I really was, and I'm so mad at myself. I forgot so much stuff happened in 2020, but I forgot that happened in April of 2020. That documentary. So it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, April, May. But yeah, it was something that I'd heard about in 2018, and ESPN already started, like they showed commercials for it back then, said it was coming in 2020. So I was like, okay, I've got to make sure I stay alive into 2020. I've got to make it to 2020 because I got to see this documentary. And it delivered. It was honestly better than I thought it was going to be. So it was awesome. So to wrap it up, to go from the highlights, such things as The Last Dance and The Boys and that kind of stuff, does anybody have any lowlights of 2020 they want to talk about?
Listen, all the entertainers that we lost throughout this year, like Justin, I think we were talking about this sometime back, that Kobe Bryant and his daughter, along with all the others in that helicopter crash, that happened early this year, January 2020. That felt like it was 5 years ago, right? And, that was a big loss. I know you were quite, taken aback by that. And then, of course, Chadwick, Kelly Preston, for me, was also another one who passed unexpectedly. She kept that battle with cancer very private.
John Travolta's wife?
John Travolta's wife, yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't know she died.
Oh, she died, like, I don't know, towards the end of summer. Yeah, so, I mean, there have been a lot of people we have lost in the entertainment industry. And of course, Chadwick was a huge loss to Marvel. I read somewhere that his wife actually is expecting their first child. So, hopefully all goes well with her pregnancy and the legacy that will be Chadwick Boseman. There's way too many people to, of course, name off. We recently lost the actor who portrayed Boba Fett, going back to Star Wars. and then also the actor who portrayed Darth Vader, in person. So, like I said, lots of people that we've lost here in 2020, not to mention all those lives who have been lost, of course, because of this pandemic. It's a real tragedy, of course. And, it's been a rough year. It's been a really rough year.
For sure.
It definitely has. George, do you have any lows of 2020, or whether it be entertainment wise or people we lost, or?
I don't know, man. This whole year's just been kind of a low, just dealing with this pandemic and just hoping things get better by next year and we can get some back of, just get some hope back, and just hopefully the things turn around next year, and with this vaccine coming out and stuff, and just want everyone to stay safe, and especially y'all and our viewers to all just be careful and take care for the rest of this year.
Good message. Frank, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I know we have this show, we shoot the shit, we talk about, shows on what we love, but, my heart goes out to all the family members, people who lost their loved ones, who lost people close to them, from not just celebrities, but just people in general. I mean, this coronavirus is taking people by the droves, man, and, protect ourselves, mask up, let's try again 2021 on, safely. So, shout out to everybody, and y'all stay safe for the holiday season.
Yep. Nathan, anything you want to add? Nathan, is there something you want to say?
Yeah, just it's been a bad year. It's been a bad year for a lot of people. I lost my grandma about 2 months ago to COVID. I just hope 2021's better than this year. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be better, right? I guess just real quick, is there anything you're looking forward to that we haven't already talked about from the Marvel or Star Wars or whatever?
Coming to America Part 2, March 2021. I'm excited about that. I saw the footage. I saw some release photos, and the whole cast is back. It's so excited about that. I'm so dope.
Listen,
I'm a huge Eddie Murphy fan. That's my shit.
Listen, James Earl Jones does not look like he has aged one bit since then.
He's drinking vampire blood.
I know, right? It's ridiculous. But one that I'm really looking forward to in the Marvel world, because it's been pushed back twice at this point, is Black Widow. I know a lot of people don't really care particularly about her backstory or anything that deals with her. Listen, I love the girl. Scarlett Johansson is hot. I'm gonna just say it because it's true. Frank, you'll agree with me.
Yeah, I agree too.
I'm looking forward to her movie actually coming out and getting a chance to watch it.
That's a good call, because I kind of forgot about it. So, George, anything you're looking forward to?
That's what we call being sexy.
I'm looking forward to next year. I want to finish Billions, the half of the season that they have left, because I only did half of the season for this 2020, and the second half should come out next year. I'm looking forward to season 4 of Yellowstone, which is going to be insane, and I know it's going to be crazy. And y'all haven't even finished season 3, and I already did, but it's really, you'll see. Season 3 is kind of boring, honestly, but towards the end, it's going to set everything up for the next season. It's going to be one of the craziest seasons or honestly, just one of the craziest shows on TV.
Okay, we'll be looking out for that. Nathan, what are you looking forward to in 2021?
The end of 2020?
End of 2020. So you're going to be a happy man in 13 days. You'll be.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
And
I know I will be come January 21st. You guys know what comes out that day, right?
I do. Yeah.
Trump from the White House.
Right. He's gone. He gone.
can they play the Imperial March when he's leaving? I'm just curious. Anyway,
They could.
Justin, I'm going to hijack it from you real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
We're going to wrap up, but before we wrap, I do want to remind everyone, if you already haven't, to follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You just simply type in The Watchers in the Basement, and we appreciate you following us and taking the time to watch this episode of wrapping up 2020. Guys, if you don't mind showing your Christmas gifts to everyone.
And Brittany, thank you, by the way, for creating these awesome mugs. I'm in the dark, so you can't see, but I have the office. I have the same one that Nathan has, so check out Nathan's.
Yeah. So we all have different Watchers in the Basement. Maybe one day we'll put these out as giveaways to our fans. So we have The Boys. George has got The Boys. I've got Star Wars. Nathan and Justin have The Office, and Frank has our Game of Thrones style. So if you want to maybe win one of these giveaways in the near future, be sure to follow us on social media. You can also use #WatchersBasement in order to talk to us. We appreciate your time and sticking with us throughout this pandemic. It's been insane, but we're very grateful to everyone who's taken time to check us out.
Thank you, Brittany. So that wraps it up. It's another episode of The Watchers of the Basement. We're going to be back in 2021. Some of us, I guess, will do Wonder Woman. Others maybe won't. We'll see. Maybe it sucks. Nobody will do it. Maybe none of us will like it. We can just skip it. But anyway, have a happy holidays. Stay safe, and we will see you all in 2021. We're out.